Take 3,045. I'm gonna. Hello there and welcome back. I'm Dave and this is my studio. I've got my little fire going in the background there. We're in the middle of the Christmas holiday, so I do hope you're having a great time. Now then, the other day I put out part one of my video looking back at the guitar stories that I featured over 2022. And what an absolutely fantastic collection of guitars they were, all made by amateur builders with love and care. Absolutely brilliant. Now in this episode we're going to introduce some mystery, some wonders, and well, we have Celtic legends, we have unusual shaped guitars, we have iconic rock guitars, and we have a visitation from an alien. So please sit back and enjoy. But first I'm going to take you back over 30 years when Simon decided to build an ES335. Okay, for this week's guitar story, I'm grateful to Simon for sending me details and photos of his ES335-ish guitar. That's what he calls it. Now then, Simon tells me, I made this guitar over 30 years ago using the pickups and controls from a satellite Les Paul copy. Okay, fair enough. He'd never built a hollow body guitar before, and he'd actually never seen a 335 in the flesh. But undeterred, he decided he was going to build one, and he started on the construction. He says, my method of construction leaves a lot to be desired. Well, I think all I'd say is join the club. No, my luck at the moment. Simon didn't take any photos when he was building the guitar, but his background is in engineering, so obviously he's fascinated with the construction. So what he's very kindly sent me is some photographs taken inside the guitar. So here's a diagram of the cross section of the body, and I have to say it's a rather intriguing design. Okay, we're going to go inside and I'll run through this sequence of photos. Okay, so we can see a bit of that wooden framework there. Now we're underneath some of the electronics, and again a bit more of that wooden framework, and there's some more of it. I think if you've done this with one of those examination cameras, I'm sure it looks like that. Yeah, we can see that framework. It's really intriguing design you've got inside there. Fascinating. And oh, I can see your kerfing there in the presumably like in the cutaway section, in one of the cutaways. Yeah, gosh, it's a fascinating design, and what an interesting view of the guitar. I mean, we spend a lot of time, especially with hollow body guitars, trying to get the inside to look really nice and all structured and everything, and of course you seal it up, nobody sees it, do they? Simon tells me, I didn't know anything about steam stroke heat to bend the sides, so I softened them with a little water. Then I cut cross braces for both the top and the back. I bent the top and the back just by gluing and clamping them to the braces and leaving them to dry. Then he made some kerfing from a strip of wood and glued it to the top and the back. Then he glued the top and the back together by the braces, forming an open box with no sides. Yeah, I think I can get what you're saying. He had glued the neck and the heel blocks in as well. Finally, he glued the sides on and held them in place with masking tape. So, gosh, that's a really clever way of doing it. And it's amazing how you managed to get that ply to bend just by softening it with water. I do like white guitars. The first electric guitar I had, my mum and dad bought me, it was, I think it was sort of brown and red and black. It was a sort of a burst. But after a few years I sprayed it white because I did like the white guitar. And this looks really good. It looks absolutely fantastic. Now, the bridge. And as Simon tells me, he made this Tune-o-matic bridge from brass using a drill and a set of needle files. Now, that is a beautiful looking bridge and tailstop. I mean, that's amazing. You know, I would really love to have a go at making one of these, and I think Simon, you've probably inspired me to have a go at this. Anyway, Simon, thank you very much for sending us your guitar story with those wonderful pictures, especially those internal ones. I just love those, incredible. One of the reasons for me featuring these stories was purely selfish, and that was to expand my knowledge of guitars and guitar building. So when Morris sent me details of his ovulation guitar, I was really intrigued. For this week's feature, I'm very grateful to Morris, who sent me details of his guitar. Now, Morris has built an acoustic guitar, and it's the first acoustic guitar we featured in this series, so this is a bit exciting. I have to say, this is no ordinary acoustic guitar. Morris tells me it was inspired by the Smooth Talker guitar that's designed and built by Mervyn Davis, a luthier from South Africa. Now, I had to go looking for this guitar, but I found a photo of it, and as you can see, it's a little bit different. Now, Morris has called his guitar the Ovolution guitar, so I think you can see where this is going. Anyway, I think you need to be quite a creative person to tackle a project like this. And so it was no surprise to me to discover that Morris is quite a talented woodworker and artist. Wow, that is a beautiful guitar. Look at that. Look at that shape. I mean, that's so unusual. I mean, I can see where his inspirations come from, but he's put his own design style on that. That's absolutely fantastic. The front of the headstock has a sapele with veneer with a Wenge flash in the middle. Wow. Yep. That's really beautiful. And look at that lamination on the back there. Oh, and that's a beautiful volute as well. I wish I could carve volutes like that. The fretboard is Baduke, and both the fretboard and the headstock have a maple binding, and I think it's a flamed maple binding. And look at that, that looks brilliant, doesn't it? That really does look nice. The bridge design is quite unusual, having two saddles, one each side of an adjustable compression bar, and the bridge and the front saddle is positioned and shaped for the correct intonation. The oval sound chamber is approximately 365mm wide, 280mm high and 80mm deep. And the sound exits through the opening at the end where the neck attaches. The neck is a multi-laminated through neck design, a portion of which passes through the sound chamber to the tail end. And I fitted a mechanism there to allow the action of the strings to be adjusted by tilting the neck without removing the strings. I'm particularly intrigued by the lattice work that's fitted under the soundboard to give it more support. Morris says that's made from the same Sitka spruce that the top is made from. Morris says, I would encourage anyone thinking about making a guitar to get going, and you'll be surprised how much you learn along the way and be proud of the final result. Thumbs up to that. Even if it's not a great musical instrument, it will make for an interesting wall decoration and discussion topic, so go for it. I like that idea. If it doesn't play in tune, stick it on the wall. That's a good idea, Morris. Yes, perhaps a few of my guitars should go on the wall. Anyway, Morris, thank you very much indeed for sending us photos and details of your guitar. It's been absolute marvel to go through them all. Now, I'll be honest with you, I hadn't really come across the band The Scorpions or their lead guitarist Matthias Yabs until Emmanuel sent me details of his iconic rock guitar. Okay, all you Scorpion fans, put your hands up. Come on, I know you're out there. And Emmanuel, I know you're a big fan of the guitarist Matthias Yabs, or rather should I say his Gibson Explorer guitar. Because yes, this week I'm grateful to Emmanuel from Germany who sent me details of his guitar. Emmanuel tells me, I started building guitars at the beginning of 2020, just weeks before the pandemic hit Europe. I'd stumbled across guitar building videos on YouTube and was fascinated by the idea to build my own guitar. So Emmanuel ordered a Les Paul kit and set about building this guitar. Now, it was so successful that he actually used the guitar at a gig with his band. So, inspired by his hero, Matthias Jabs, he decided to build a Gibson Explorer. Emmanuel says, the ash turned out to be very heavy. I drilled a whole bunch of holes, turning the body into something like Swiss cheese before gluing the top. I think there's an element of Ben Crow there. So we can see that nice slab of ash there. He said he had to make it quite thick, and that was because of the tremolo system he wanted to install. We'll have a look in that in a minute. Yes, I can see the Swiss cheese, and that looks like a nice top you've got there. Because he doesn't like hard edges, Emmanuel carved and slimmed down the body along the edges and added a belly cut just for comfort. The neck is maple with a lightly flamed apple fretboard. See again the old Shinto saw rasp is being used on the back of the neck there. It's an amazing tool for carving the backs of necks. That's a rather unusual headstock there, isn't it? And the tuners are 2 left, 4 right. They're unbranded locking tuners, and the nut is a locking nut as well. And this is because it's fitting a tremolo arm. Wow, it looks a really nice headstock. Okay, now on to the pickups. Ooh, looks rather neat, that does. Emmanuel installed Seymour Duncan pickups, an SH5 custom bridge and an SH2N jazz neck humbucker. Whoa, that's a lovely looking guitar. I tell you what, Emmanuel, I think Matthias Jabs might want that for his guitar store, you know. That is really neat. Beautiful. Emmanuel installed a Floyd Rose tremolo system, and that looks really neat. I like that. Beautiful system there, which is why he needed to go for a slightly deeper body. The knobs there, well, the knobs, as I understand it, are made from the ash from the body, which has been stained chocolate brown by the looks of things, and the top of the knob is some leftovers from the top of the guitar there. And that's a really nice idea. Whoa. No, that is a beautiful looking guitar. Amazing shape. And I love the way you've carved it such that the top sort of blends into that brown at the back, and it really works, the combination of the two, and that apple fretboard really goes lovely with it. Well, Emmanuel, I think Matthias Jabs would be very proud if he'd got a guitar like that, and I hope you are very proud of that guitar. That's excellent, and well, good luck with gigging with your band, because you're going to look awesome on stage. Anyway, thank you very much for sending us such a marvellous guitar. Now, for this week's My Guitar feature, I've travelled deep into Celtic mythology to tell you about Douglas's Lianan Shee bass guitar. But first, I need to tell you a tale. Now, Lianan Shee is a fairy mistress who seeks the love of mortals. If they refuse, she becomes their slave. But if they accept, then they become hers, and the only way they can escape is to find someone else to take their place. Now, the poet W.B. Yeats popularised his own version of this story. In it, he imagined Lianan Shee as a beautiful muse who offers inspiration to artists and creative people in return for their love and devotion. But I have to say, it doesn't end well. Now then, back to this guitar, and I think I saw an old barn just over there, so that's where I'm going to head. Ooh, this is better. Now then, back to the guitar. And, well, with a name like Lianan Shee, this bass guitar, I think, must be something special. Wow, well, this guitar looks like it comes straight out of Celtic folklore. That's a pretty amazing looking guitar. Wow. Douglas says, I made everything on this bass save the truss rod, tuning machines, pickups and electronics. The bridge is purple heart with a cowbone saddle. The control plate and truss rod cover are 16 gauge brass covered in clear epoxy. The knobs are walnut plugs cut with a hole saw with PVC inserts. The fingerboard is finished with multiple layers of CA glue, sanded and buffed. That's an interesting use of CA glue. You've obviously used a lot of it. I love the shape of that body. That's an amazing shape. There's the scroll headstock. Douglas says the headstock looks a bit sketchy because it's been reworked a few times to get the tuners to line up and to mount onto a carved surface. So how does it sound and play? Douglas says using a Zoom 506 multi-effect bass pedal and an equaliser, I can get the fretless bass sound that I wanted and more. Douglas, that is a really unique guitar. I don't think I've ever seen a bass guitar that looks quite as awesome as that guitar does there. Well, Douglas, thank you very much for sharing your bass guitar with us, and yeah, that interesting story. Cheers. Now, I know about 6-string and 12-string guitars, and I know about bass guitars because I absolutely love playing them. But a baritone guitar? I'll be honest with you, that was new to me. Now, in this week's feature, I'm grateful to Robin for sending me details of his guitar. Now, you may remember in March, I think it was the 22nd of March, I put the video out, I featured one of Robin's guitars, a 3/4 size guitar. Now, Robin sort of, I think, specialises in instruments that are slightly unusual. So they're not just straight guitars, although he does build straight 6-string guitars. Now, Robin also has a marvellous channel where he covers songs, and there are, I don't know, hundreds of songs he's covered now. It's a fantastic treasure trove of songs. And he sings them beautifully, he plays them beautifully, and he puts some notes against them, which sort of gives you a bit of the background of the song. So it's a really fascinating channel. Please go and have a look. I shall put a link in the description below. So it's a little bit different, this guitar feature, because Robin has done a video where he talks about the guitar and sort of demonstrates it. And he's also produced a song, the song Vincent by Don McLean. And I will put a link to that at the end because it's a marvellous rendition using this new guitar, which is a baritone guitar. Now, I've never made a baritone guitar before. I've never played one. This is a guitar that sort of sits between a bass, I believe, and a normal 6-string. It's got 6 strings, but it's got a much longer scale length. Now, Robin sent some photos, so let's go and have a look at those photos and I'll talk about the spec. Robin says after building the 3/4 size guitar, he decided to go big with a baritone, and this has a 27-inch scale length. He chose black walnut for the body. He says a dark colour to match the relatively dark sound of the guitar. Robin says he bought a black walnut board, 8 feet long and 8 inches wide and a little over an inch thick, and this was cut to lengths. He actually used 14 pieces, and you can see it all glued up here. Amazing, absolutely. He says one of the challenges was levelling that body blank without a thicknesser. Robin says the neck pocket was cut from the individual boards before glue up, so he never really needed to use a router. Now that's really clever. Of course it means thinking ahead, something that I'm not particularly good at. Robin bought a pre-made neck and a Strat pick guard preloaded with 3 hot rail pickups and all the wiring and controls included. Now, that really sounds like a good idea, although I understand it wasn't all plain sailing. Now, there were some issues. The neck wasn't straight, the frets weren't level, and they were sharp on the edges. So Robin made a slotted rule from a piece of aluminium he had from an old drywall square that he bought for a DIY project some years ago. Robin told me, I got the neck straight, and then he levelled the frets with sandpaper attached to the bottom of a level. He marked the tops of the frets with a Sharpie, and he did it a few times until he got them all level. Then he dressed and re-crowned the frets. He reshaped the headstock to a more pleasing shape from the CBS Stratocaster shape that it came with. I hollowed out the body to accept the loaded pickguard and drilled the required holes for the ground wires and the input jack. I put 6 coats of wipe-on poly on the body and 4 on the back of the neck. And he used boiled linseed oil on the fretwork board. He says, I polished the frets with a rotary tool and some compound so they're pretty shiny. Now then, obviously there were some challenges. The neck problem, obviously, getting the neck centred and the angle just right. I mean, things that we experience all the time, and certainly I'm experiencing it with this guitar I'm making. Robin also had a couple of issues with the electrics. The pickup selector switch was shorting against the shielding on the bottom of the cavity. This is really frustrating because, you know, you put all the pickups and the wiring together, it works fine, no problem. You put it in the guitar and then it doesn't work. Oh dear, yeah, I've been there. I don't know. Then one of the pickups wouldn't adjust, so he had to take it off the pick guard and sort it out. I mean, I love Strats, but there's a problem with that pick guard, isn't it? In that if there's anything wrong under the pick guard, all the strings have got to come off, or you've got to take the neck off, and then, you know, I'll fiddle. Oh, I don't know. There we are. It can be very frustrating. You've just got to keep calm. And that's what Robin did, obviously. And, well, look at the result. What a really stylish guitar. You know, and all I'll say is if you have a wander over to his channel and watch his wonderful rendition of Vincent, you'll hear how this beautiful guitar sounds. It really does sound absolutely super. I think he's tuned it down 5 semitones. But it really does look amazing. And, you know, that walnut absolutely goes with that guitar. Really amazing. Well, Robin, thank you as always for sending details of your guitar. I mean, it is really super, and I really enjoy listening to the songs that you play. So thank you very much. Do you ever get the feeling that we're being watched? You may have a point, because this week I've been contacted by a multi-dimensional being from another galaxy. It goes by the name of, wait for this,
Ali Neri Inu Nuru Uru Sorbus.
I think I got that right. Or simply
Animus.
In actual fact, I was contacted by a creation of Animus, a creation called the Child of Animus.
Created as a manifestation of our thoughts and feelings, desires and shortcomings.
Apparently. Anyway, the child has created a string theory machine. Now, we would know this as a guitar. And this guitar is called the Grand Grimoire, or the Guitar of the Dead. Sorry, did you see that? Anyway, let me carry on. Right. Okay, where was I? The guitar. I mean, I suppose technically all guitars are dead. I mean, you wouldn't want your headstock, you know, producing a prize set of blooms, would you? But something going on here. Something weird. Anyway. Now, this guitar feature is going to be a bit different because the child of Animus has actually produced a fantastic video of him making this guitar. And I think it's, you know, I'm going to send you across to have a look at this video because it's absolutely brilliant. So I asked the child, you know, what inspired you to make this guitar? And I got an official response from Animus. Let me read it to you. He said,
after harnessing the power of deep water for the Great Guitar Build-Off 2022 build, Coral Blue.
I tell you what, go and check that series out. That's an amazing guitar. And the music is great as well.
I sought to seek the power from the underworld and came into contact with a level 80 warlock, and the rest, as you say, is history.
He forced his child to do his bidding. If you understand that, well, good on you. Anyway, look, it's a really fantastic guitar. I'm going to put a link up in the corner just there, so please go and have a look at it, because it's fantastic watching the child build this guitar, mainly with hand tools. Really skilled young man. And the backing music is absolutely fantastic. It's all original. It's prog rock at its best, and the playing and the production is absolutely fantastic. And yeah, please check it out. And the demo at the end, well, that really was a game changer for me. I've had some thoughts about how I'm going to use pickups on this guitar, and seeing the demo of this guitar, the Guitar of the Dead, has changed my mind. While you do that, I'm going to go and have a nice hot cup.
Solorians, now be good little nerds, and do as Dave says, and join me on the Child of Animus YouTube page. It's fantastic! So fantastic!
God, I'm sorry about that interruption. Normal service will be resumed when we can get the aliens out of the system. But in the meantime, Animus and Child of Animus, thank you for a great guitar feature. Well, I'd like to thank all of those wonderful people who sent me guitar stories during 2022, and I hope that I can repeat it in 2023 and feature some more of your guitars, because they are truly inspiring. And well, it's going to be an interesting year. I've just finished watching Ben Crow announce the winners of the invitational and professional builders in the Great Guitar Build-Off, and the work is absolutely awesome, and there's no way that I can ever compete with that. But do you know what? It really doesn't matter, because if you can build a guitar that plays nicely and you enjoy playing it, that's all that matters. And so I've taken my Fence guitar off the wall, and I thought I'd have a good old strum at it. And listen, it's only made of fence wood, but my goodness me, it sounds great to me. Anyway, take care of yourselves, enjoy the new year, and stay safe. Cheers.